June 8th, 2026 school board meeting of the East Penn School District. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Following the Pledge of Allegiance, I ask that you remain standing for a moment of silence in remembrance of Channon Deegan, Macungie Elementary teacher. Channon passed away on May 23rd, 2026. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This evening, we have no requests to address the board, so we'll get right in. Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes of the May 11th, 2026 board meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Allen?
Mr. Jankowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Klotz.
Aye.
Dr. Levinson.
Aye.
Dr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Price.
Aye.
Mrs. Diavelli.
Aye.
Aye.
Ms. Ford.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. And now Dr. Campbell will provide a district update for us.
Good evening, thank you. I'll start off with some celebrations of the great work of our students across the district. First, we'd like to recognize Emmaus High School junior Zinning Fan on earning second place in the world at the International Science and Engineering Fair that was recently held in Phoenix, Arizona. Zinning was selected as one of just 1,700 students worldwide to compete. And so again, congratulations to Zinning for that amazing accomplishment. We're also proud to recognize East Penn students across the district who recently competed in the CLIU's annual 24 math competition. We'd like to recognize Caleb Irk of Willow Lane Elementary. He won an overall second place finish. We'd also like to recognize the semifinalists, Chase Saulnier of Macungie Elementary, Violet Spencer of Lincoln Elementary, Ian Yu of Willow Lane Elementary, and Colin Wanuga, also of Willow Lane Elementary. Those students were among the top 16 finishers out of the entire competition. Similarly, we had students across the district who recently excelled and did very well at the Reading Olympics competitions. We had the LMMS Bookworms, who won first place. We had the Eyre Bulldog Bookworms, who earned a second place. The Macungie Spine Crackers, ouch, first place. And A Novel Idea from Wescosville, Lincoln, Jefferson, and Willow Lane also got second place. So congratulations to all those excellent readers. You may have heard Emmaus High School did an amazing job at the Freddies. We would like to congratulate again the cast, crew, and directors of Jekyll and Hyde for their outstanding representation. In particular, Charles Kenny won the Vic Kuma Award for Outstanding Solo Vocal Performance and also Outstanding Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role. Abigail Holes won the award of Outstanding Performance by an Actress. Special recognition again to both Charles Kenny as well as Persia Malay for their solo performances during the actual Freddie performance. The last week in May, the district also hosted its annual art show, which showcased the incredible creativity and artistic talent of our students. We always are appreciative of the Emmaus High School Art Department for their outstanding work, and we had several students who were recognized as Best in Show recipients. They are Kyra Murphy, Maddie Wen, Elena Queen, Nina Zhang, and Gracie Huffer. We'd also like to recognize Lower Macungie Middle School, their school-wide positive behavior intervention and support, affectionately known as the SWIBS team. They were recently recognized for their PBIS, or positive behavior implementation, and again, received that great recognition at the statewide level for great implementation of that program. Finally, as we start to wrap up the 2025-26 school year, we wanted to end by congratulating again all of the East Penn employees who throughout the year have indicated to us that they will be retiring at the end of this school year. We certainly appreciate their dedicated service to East Penn and wish them much happiness and success in their retirement. Last week, we held a retirement dinner. We were pleased to have about 24 of our employees, a little over a dozen, I should say, of our employees who joined us for the retirement dinner and helped to celebrate with many administrators. And we appreciate that Ms. Ford was there as well to be a part of that celebration. Also last week, our Emmaus High School seniors and now graduates participated in the Parade of Graduates, where they adorn their cap and gown and visit the elementary school at which they started their career here in the East Penn School District. And they do just that, parade around the hallways, and they are celebrated by their kindergarten through fifth grade peers, former teachers, as well as principals. So that's a great tradition. That's always a happy time for us in the district. And then also, I will say our seniors wrapped up their year, obviously, with graduation yesterday. The class of 2026 participated, their graduation at the PPL Center. It was really a top-notch ceremony. We appreciate the meaningful speeches from our students. We are always incredibly impressed with their insightful words, performances by our student ensembles. And again, a special thank you to our guidance counselors, the many, many faculty members across the district who participated in the event, our administrators, our school board members, and also a special thanks to Mrs. Garriello, Mrs. Oken, and Ms. George, who put in a tremendous amount of work behind the scenes to create such a dignified and memorable event for a total of 684 graduates who crossed the stage yesterday. So again, congratulations to all of them. And I also wanted to recognize, announced yesterday during graduation, congratulations to Arav Gunshani, who is the 2026 EHS Dr. Herman Corradetti Academic Hall of Fame Award inductee. And he he and many other students made us proud with all of his great accomplishments throughout his time here in East Penn. As we look to the summer, we remind families that registration is now open for the 26-27 school year for all students who will be joining us here in the district. And we'd also like to remind families that our Emmaus High School offers a preschool program for 3, 4, and 5-year-old children. And so if there's anyone who's interested in childcare or a preschool program, that's certainly something we encourage families to take a look at. We also encourage families to remember that while our schools close officially, or I should say our last day of school for students is June 10th. As a reminder, that's an early dismissal, 11 o'clock for secondary students, 12 o'clock for elementary students. But please remember that while it's the last day of school, our buildings do remain open throughout the summer. Our offices are staffed, our secondary buildings have library hours, and so we always encourage families to check out building websites for those hours in case students are interested in citing out reading materials. And then finally, we also remind families that the district summer food program that happens through our collaboration with the Emmaus Rotary continues throughout the summer. Food pickup is available here at the administration building as well as Lower Macungie Middle School, so that schedule is available on our website. We also have information on Summer Camp Guide that outlines a variety of camps and activities that are available to students in our communities. And that's my final update for the 25-26 school year. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Any comments, questions? Yes, Dr.
Just
Whitney.
have to make a comment. So I've attended 2 prior graduation ceremonies, strictly as a board member. I attended yesterday's with a little bit more of a personal interest, as well as a board member. And I just want to, give kudos. I mean, I could have said this either of the prior times as well, but it just really brought home what a well-run ceremony that is, and dignified, and just I know what a heavy lift it is to pull off a ceremony like that year after year without a hitch. And I just want to give kudos to the whole team that does that. It's just an incredible ceremony, and it was a wonderful day yesterday. And that's all. Thank you.
Right, yes, Dr. Perez.
To second Dr. Whitney's praise for the graduation ceremony. It was really well done, well run, and very enjoyable. My other question is, does the district have summer hours? Some districts close on Friday and have different hours Monday through Thursday? No?
We do have adjusted office hours, but all of our buildings are open 5 days a week.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right, so I'll just wrap it up with some comments. My first comment is in regards to the Freddie Awards and how well the students did. And I just wanted to make a suggestion that I think maybe next year, if they do well again, we do like the Oscars and there's repeat performances that everyone can enjoy. That's just my personal opinion. Just rerun it. The second thing is I also wanted to thank the staff and the administration for an amazing ceremony. The logistical efforts that go into graduation are very impressive, and the atmosphere was electric. And just seeing so much joy, even in the way that so many people stood online and were so patient. The parents and the students and the family members, you know, everyone was so patient with the whole process, and that has to be noted. And so hats off and thank you for all you do. All right, moving on under curriculum, number 4, item A, educational conferences. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Yes, Dr. Perez.
Yep, I was really excited to see that we have a teacher attending the Keystone Data Item Review session in September. From personal experience, I will tell you, it's amazing professional development, and it also serves to do and work with continuous improvement on the state assessment. So it serves double purposes, and I hope more of our teachers will take advantage of that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anyone else? All right, moving on. Next item on the agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm rolling fast. Ms. Allen.
Let's go right to the last one then. Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Klotz.
Aye.
Dr. Levinson.
Aye.
Dr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Price.
Aye.
Mrs. Stiavelli.
Aye.
Dr. Whitney.
Aye.
Mr. Jankowski.
Aye.
Ms. Ford.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Next item on the agenda under curriculum, item 4B, the administration will provide a presentation on curriculum revisions. So I'm going to now turn it over to Dr. Campbell for an introduction. Thank you.
I'll do a brief intro as the team prepares for the presentation. We are incredibly excited to share with the board and the community this evening an overview of curriculum revisions in several areas, including the 8 to 10 world language, K-12 English language development or ELD program, our K-5 reading and language arts, and then a pilot as well in 8th and 10th grade English. And you'll also hear, as part of the reading and language arts, a pilot of some resources for the upcoming school year. And so I also want to first say that I am incredibly appreciative of the work and leadership of our Office in Teaching and Learning. In just a minute, Dr. Thatcher will kick off the process. And also, we are incredibly gracious and appreciative of the fact that we have several teachers who are here this evening who have been a critical part of the curriculum revision process, and appreciate them being here tonight as leaders as well to help share their great work with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. So as Dr. Campbell explained, there are several things you'll hear this evening. We will go straight through and then we'll take your questions at the end. I'm joined for the world language presentation by 2 of our wonderful team members. I have Kevin Bizignani, who is a current department chair and German teacher, and then I have Kim Kannenberger, who is one of our wonderful world language teachers at the middle level, and she'll share a little more about what she's teaching next school year. So with that, I'll kick it off. What you're about to hear now is a long time coming. So this is about 2 years of work from this department that they've been working to make the world language courses that are available to our students accessible and holistic in nature. They continue to have an emphasis on that immersive cultural understanding for our students. And we also are focusing on that bridge that world language brings between the cognitive development, but then also the cultural empathy piece. And then the focus as well on the goal of fostering lifelong global citizens and effective communicators to tie into our portrait of a graduate. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Kevin, and he's going to talk a little bit about how the courses and curriculum are structured.
Guten Abend. My name is Kevin Bisignani, and I've been teaching German here at the high school for 23 years, and I'm really excited to be here to talk about our language program. As you've heard, we've been working on the curriculum revision for about 2 years now. And as we worked through the revisions, we identified 4 different areas that we concentrate on most during our instruction. And you'll see them listed there as the 4 pillars of learning. So when you actually look at the UBD documents where we've written the curriculum, you'll see that each thematic unit is actually broken down into those 4 different areas: the culture, the structure, the vocabulary, and the communication. I'd like to go over them each a little bit, but I'd like to start at the bottom and then go to the top. So we're going to start off with the communication piece first. As language teachers, our main goal is to get our students communicating. That's the goal of a language. So in order to do that, we really need to build vocabulary first. That's like the foundation. So by building our vocabulary, we can actually start to say things in the language. Thinking back to my own high school days, my high school German teacher, Herr Hordich, used to say, if you ain't got vocab, you ain't got nothing. Which I think is kind of true. If you don't have that basis, that foundation, you're not going to be able to say anything at all. So the key is then to take that vocabulary that you're learning and not just learn vocabulary for vocabulary's sake, but instead to put it into a structure. That's the grammar that we've been working on, and also things like orthography, that's the spelling, and the punctuation, even something called prosody, which is like the sentence melody. So for instance, in a sentence, what words are being stressed? Or even within the word, what part of the word is being stressed? Is it the prefix that's being stressed, or is it something towards the end of the word? And understanding all of that is actually what makes communication more effective. So the structure is then the framework within which we're using the vocabulary. Then if you take it one step further, we've got cultural awareness. And that's kind of a part that tends to be overlooked. Being aware of how cultures work in different countries is an important part of being able to kind of express yourself appropriately. And if I can give a little bit of an example from my time in Germany, late 90s, I was a teaching assistant in a German high school. And as part of that program, at the end of my lessons, some of them anyway, a teacher in the German school would come with me and we would sit down and they would go through different things in the lesson and how they can be improved. And I'll never forget, after the first evaluation of my work, we sat down for 5 minutes and the teacher spent the entire time telling me everything that I could have and should have done better. And I came out of that lesson thinking it was a total disaster. So I went to another teacher who I had befriended along the way and explained to her how awful it had been. And she said, Kevin, she said, you're not in America. She says, in Germany, we tell you what goes wrong, and then you can assume that everything else went fine. In America, you start off with something positive, then you give a little bit of gentle feedback in the middle, and then at the end, we do something positive again. She said, that's not how it's done in Germany. So that was my lack of cultural awareness that led to miscommunication. So in our lessons, in our language program, we try to incorporate that culture piece as well. It's more than just the culture of traditions and holidays, but it's really perspectives and how things are done in the different countries. All right, so again, when you see the documents, you'll see those 4 different areas for each of the thematic units, but the end goal is communication and effective communication. As we worked on the revisions, we turned to the ACTFL standards. ACTFL stands for the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages. And the interesting thing is, in Pennsylvania, we don't have adopted standards for world language. We've had proposed standards for almost a quarter of a century when I started teaching, but they have not yet been adopted. I don't know that they ever will be. So in Pennsylvania, we refer to the ACTFL standards, and it's actually considered almost the gold standard of standards for foreign language teaching. So When you see the ACTFL standards, you'll see the ones that are in the document are pretty general. But what ACTFL has done then is they've created, in the second part there, the can-do statements. And the most important part of that can-do statement, or the most important word, is the actual do. Because we don't want our kids just learning vocab, memorizing vocab, or memorizing grammar rules. We want to know what they can do with the material that they're learning. So the can-do part is the most important part of it. Beyond the can-do, once we've learned what they can do, you'll see the next part is the transfer and the meaning. And that's where we take what they can do and hope that they can apply it to new situations. So if I can offer a quick, basic example of that, one of the most basic can-do statements in the ACTFL guidelines, or the can-do statements, is that I can introduce myself in the world language, in the target language. So for instance, I can say, "Ich heiße Kevin." Right? But can I take that and can I then bring it to a situation where I can introduce my friend? Can I introduce my grandma? Can I introduce my boss? Can I introduce the superintendent of schools? Right? That would be taking it to a different level, taking what we've learned and applying it somewhere else, and not having to learn each individual thing each individual context, if that makes sense. So that's one of the harder parts, is getting them to kind of generalize their information without overgeneralizing it, but it is an important part of language learning. And the fourth item listed there is the acquisition focus. And really, there is a difference between learning a language and acquiring a language. You can learn vocab. You can learn grammar rules, what my one grad professor would call mental gymnastics of moving words around. Really, the mental gymnastics is not the important part. It's, are you able to acquire the language so that you almost get a feel for the language? And that's what we're aiming to get our students to do. So when we're doing things that are more in the idea of can-do, rather than memorizing the vocab, memorizing grammar rules, there's a place for that, and it's important. That's how you build the foundation. But the ultimate goal is to get them where they're comfortable with the language and actually speaking it. On the last slide that I'll discuss, we're going to talk about the sequence of courses that we're offering in our district. And you can see we offer 4 different languages. We offer Spanish, French, German, and Latin. The first row going across, you'll see we have for Spanish, French, and German, levels 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And for Latin, because we don't start Latin until the high school, we've got levels 1, 2, 3, and 4. That would be considered our on-level courses. That's the traditional courses that students would take. In the second row going across, you'll see our honors courses. So we're offering a 3 honors and 4 honors course. That's a way that we can differentiate for the students who are really interested in getting a more rigorous, in-depth look at the language so that they have a better chance of acquiring the language at a higher level. The 4 honors course, we consider a pre-AP course, which we do also offer in Spanish, French, and German, the AP. And by having the 4 honors course as kind of a pre-AP course, that prepares them to go smoothly into the AP course and hopefully earn college credit through the AP exam. The last thing to note in this slide is in the Spanish column, you'll see the third item down. We do also offer what we call our Spanish for Native Speakers courses. We've got 2 levels of that. We call them SNS 1 and SNS 2. It's probably a little bit of a misnomer because it's not only for native speakers, it's also for heritage speakers. Heritage speakers, well, a native speaker is a person who's been probably born in another country and who speaks the language natively and then comes to the United States. That's not always the case, but it's probably the most traditional thing, already speaking the language really well. So they've got a good understanding, a good ear for it, and they're able to speak it. Heritage speakers, on the other hand, they weren't born in another country. They are living in a household where, in this case, Spanish is spoken all the time, so they can understand it like a native speaker. They can most likely speak it very closely to a native speaker, but where they struggle is more in the reading and the writing. And again, that's a generalization. It's not for every situation. So we've been able to fine-tune a curriculum and kind of differentiate for those students to meet them where they are. Because it doesn't make a lot of sense to focus on speaking and listening with students who can already do that at a native level. So we can take those students and really focus on the skills that they would more likely need, which is the reading and the writing. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Thatcher.
So what I want to show you on this slide is the dual credit offerings that we're going to be proposing this evening and then again in October in the Emmaus High School Program of Studies. So I'm just going to flip back to this slide here where Kevin was discussing the Spanish for honors, the French for honors, the German for honors, and then the Spanish for native speakers, two in particular. And you'll see here that we've received approval from Lehigh Carbon Community College, meaning that our syllabi and curricular programming meets their requirements in order for students to take the course as a dual credit option in order to earn college credit. So we're also really excited to be putting this option forward because it offers another pathway for students to earn that credit while continuing to advance in the language track. So this will be put into the program of studies in October for your vote then, and then would be available the following school year, 27-28. And so that's something that we are also very excited to offer. We have several instructors who were already cleared by the college to teach, and so we're more or less good to go. The next new thing that we have, and that Kim will speak about in just a moment, is our Intro to World Language course that will be a new offering for some of our 8th grade students. And so this is something else that we're really excited about. And Kim has been an instrumental part in writing this curriculum, and she's also going to be one of the teachers. And so I'm going to let her share with you from her perspective.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Very excited to be here and very excited to talk about this course. And even though summer's coming, I'm thinking about what next year is going to look like already. So until now, Spanish, French, and German have been the only options that our students could take in 8th grade if they were not enrolled in a reading seminar class until now. So that is what this Introduction to World Language course is going to provide. The new introduction course for world language provides another option to meet our students' needs where they are and to ignite their curiosity about languages and culture in the world in which we all live in. So each trimester, the way this would be organized, each trimester a student would study a different language, either Spanish, French, or German, with a connection to Latin. My colleagues and I are very enthusiastic about planning the opportunities for the students in this course, and it will look a little bit different than the other course. It will be quite project-based, but there will also be quite a few cultural connections. There'll still be spoken language in the course, sorry, lost my spot. So this course is designed to meet the students' needs of where they are and to also grow their motivation to hopefully help them want to continue learning the language. Students for this course were selected with a multi-tiered data approach to identify students performing at an approaching grade level of reading comprehension. So that's how the students for this first year were chosen to be at this particular course. And the intention of the course is to make learning a language fun and obtainable, and set students up for success. And what the classroom would look like if someone were to walk in on any given day, you could see things from projects happening to a mock cafe setup, to role-playing, different situations, to art, music, songs. So we're very excited to make this lively, fun, and obtainable. Thank you for listening.
All right, good evening. I'm Tricia Gutman, and we're going to start talking now about our proposed revisions for our English language development program and our curriculum. So you will see here, this is the Basic Education Circular, which is the guidelines and laws around English language development. And there is a state requirement that we offer our multilingual learners language proficiency courses. So currently, our ESL specialists provide direct instruction to our students who are new to the country, as well as to our beginners, while pushing into core classes when possible to help our other language learners with higher proficiencies. as well as supporting classroom teachers. So this framework is closely aligned with the PA English Language Proficiency Standards that come from PDE, coupled with our core academic standards. So at this time, I will turn it over to Ann Breidenbach, who is our wonderful, multilingual, can't live without her department chair, to discuss our demographic data.
What an introduction, right? Okay. So a little background on our ELD department. We have 11 ESL specialists that are working in our 10 buildings, servicing approximately 193 multilingual learners. Of that, we have represented over 27 languages. Our main languages, which you can see here, would be Spanish, Arabic, Portuguese, Mandarin, and Gujarati. And of those 193 students, approximately 80 of those are beginner or newcomer students. So this graphic kind of gives us a great overview of what our department looks like. So it starts at the top with the 6 levels of English language proficiency. Our students come in all different areas. So sometimes you'll get a student who's brand new who will come in as an entering, a level 1, or you may have a student that comes in with some previous knowledge that could be a level 4. This graphic maps out a student's linguistic progression across the 6 proficiency levels while integrating the 4 key language uses. So if you look at the bottom, our 4 key language uses are narrate, inform, argue, and explain. And those are part of the 2020 WIDA standards that we use in conjunction with the PA ELD standards. And they stretch across our 5 areas, which is number 1, social and instructional purposes, and that goes across any content that we teach. Then we also have the language of language arts, math, science, and social studies.
So with that framework in mind, we felt that there was a need to do a revision in our curriculum work. So now that you can see our demographics and you see the guidelines that we have and the way that the curriculum works, we're going to focus now and look at our curriculum design. So our proposed curriculum integrates those PA English language proficiency standards. It explicitly supports our multilingual learners in grade level bands in K1, in 2-3, and in 4-5. And it's designed to build deep content knowledge, and the curriculum provides robust materials for differentiation, as you saw the different levels that we can have in a group. And most importantly, it bridges students' home language to English. Additionally, it enriches the learning experience through authentic unit projects, diverse reading passages, and it also intentionally makes cultural connections.
So going back to our key language focuses, that was narrate, inform, argue, and explain. They align in complexity with the English language proficiency levels of the student and the ELD standard content. The assessments within the program are constructed similarly to our yearly WIDA test, which gives the students like a nice preview of what the yearly ELD testing will look like. And it has very robust slide decks, each one with beautiful visuals, and it front loads the vocabulary and gives sentence frames and sentence forms so that the students are able to participate within the discussion. The language level differentiation is built into the curriculum, so if you have a newcomer group and a beginner group together, you're able to challenge each of those groups using the same curriculum. Next one. Thank you. Success for a multilingual learner is very individualized. As we had said before, they can come and start our program not speaking any English at all, and they can come with a various level. So it is based on their growth in the 4 domains: listening, speaking, reading, and writing, which we give the annual WIDA test to see how they're doing. The ELD curriculum will help support the students to make their typical annual growth on the WIDA test and eventually reach proficiency and exit the ELD program. After they exit the ELD program, we do monitor them for 2 years to make sure that they are proficient and that they are able to be comfortable within the classes without the language supports.
So a note about our secondary curriculum before we move into that. While a typical curriculum progression may look like building on one thing from the next from K through 12, sometimes that doesn't fit as neatly and nicely within an ELD program. We must keep in mind that our students are coming in at all different grade levels, all different times of the year. They have a wide variation in their different language abilities. They have sometimes limited or interrupted formal education. Their schooling can look very different. So our program, particularly at the secondary level, needs to account for all of that. It's built in a way that does build on that K-5 foundation for students who are with us at East Penn and then transition to our secondary buildings, but then it also continues to function as a flexible entry system for students who join us for their secondary years and maybe didn't have this opportunity as part of their elementary experience. So Dr. Tiffany Schimmel is our instructional coach, and she's going to talk a little bit about the design of the curriculum model. She was a large support in the department, K-12, I'll say, in designing, working with the group and making sure that there was consistency across.
Hello, everybody. So I had the pleasure of working on this curriculum and making sure that it was using those structures over and over again throughout those different language uses that were already mentioned, the narrate, inform, explain, and argue. And then we were able to naturally spiral that academic language in there, and it's really convenient that students get to also go out into classes and be working with that academic language outside the ELD classroom so they can start to generalize those things into other areas. Then we have those consistent instructional routines that are listed there. We have our 2 input skills, which are listening and reading, and our output skills of speaking and writing. So in each unit that we wrote, they have all 4 of those. So they're meeting the content in 4 different ways. So there's another way that we are naturally spiraling through these documents. Now, the embedded scaffolds that are listed there, we need to, in these curriculum documents, we needed to provide the flexibility for our ESL teachers to provide whatever scaffolds they needed, because as we've heard, we have students coming in at all different times and ability levels. So we had to provide the flexibility while also giving some rails to the content, so they had something to work with. So that's what we were trying to do with our ELD secondary curriculum revisions.
To kind of follow up on what Kevin had said about learning a world language, it's similar when you're learning English. Academic vocabulary and sentence structure are very important, and this curriculum focuses on building a comprehensive English language proficiency by developing the student's academic language. And as Dr. Schimmel said, it's kind of convenient that they then go out into the classes and use that academic language that we help them build within the ELD curriculum. We also work on complex sentence structures so that the students can become proficient writers, while equipping the students with the essential reading comprehension strategies that they need. Ultimately, students learn to apply these skills to confidently speak and write and articulate complex ideas through description, comparison, and explanation. What we want the students to be able to do is to participate within their core content classes and have that comfortability to do so. So for our instructional approach, we ensure that they have equitable access to the rigorous content by pairing targeted language scaffolds. So as we've said multiple times, again, the students come in at different levels, so we have to give them what they need wherever they come in so that they can be successful. Things like visual aids, sentence frames, we do modeling and guided practice before the students do their independent work so they feel confident when starting that. The structured approach builds oral proficiency first, creating a confident pathway to high-level independent writing. We try to get them to talk, we try to get them to partner up and to discuss so that makes their writing more comfortable. Our assessment framework uses multiple measures and real-world performance tasks to capture an accurate picture of language growth. So just like Kim said with the Introduction to Language course, how they want to put the kids like in an actual language situation, that's what we do. We try to give the kids real-world practice so that they know the English that they would need. We also align this directly to the state and East Penn ELD standards, and these inclusive rubrics that we use ensure that every student has a meaningful pathway to demonstrate measurable progress regardless of their starting point.
Now we're going to transition to our K-6 REALA pilot, and REALA stands for Reading English Language Arts. So here we wanted to talk to you about what we have been working on. So over the past few years, for those of you who have been on the board for a while, we've come and talked to you multiple times about the different things that we have been doing in regards to the science of reading research and how we have brought materials and updated our curriculum for explicit phonics and phonemic awareness instruction, as well as Scarborough's rope and our work around comprehension. We're now expanding this work to meet the requirements of the Pennsylvania Act 135. And this mandate requires that all public schools adopt an explicit, systematic, and evidence-based structured literacy curriculum by the 27-28 school year. So the year in review is basically our steps that we took as a committee. We utilized the state-approved curriculum list and implementation guidelines provided to us by PDE. And over the past year, we internally vetted these state-approved lists by forming a comprehensive committee that included representation from all of our elementary buildings, our administrators, our ESL specialists, and our special education team members. And our internal audit basically looked at all of the different options that they had available to them, and we used a vetting system which aligned to the science of reading criteria, our mission and vision statement and portrait of a graduate, and making sure that what we were looking at made sense for us. More importantly, we wanted to make sure that we had a cohesive K-5 articulation so that we could really make sure that as students move from grade to grade, that we had that articulation in place. So following these presentations, the team conducted some site visits in some other school districts to see these programs in action for us to really make sure that we were making a good choice. Sarah Raber is now going to talk to us a little bit about the 6th grade pilot and where we're moving next.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm the closer. We're almost done. So while this was happening in K-5 all this year, this work, in 6th grade at our middle schools, we were using the Into Literature program resources as our curricular resources for the year, trying them out, seeing if that was what was best for our students. And that coincided with this process. And so from our K-5 committee, it has come out that the K-5 program Into Reading, which is part of Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, HMH, is the, is the program that we would like to move forward for next year to pilot in our elementary schools. And so it made sense that we would also pause on 6th grade and see if that might be an alignment K-6 rather than K-5 and something else separately for 6th. And so we have partnered with HMH next year to not only implement this pilot in K-5 across all 7 of our elementary schools, but to enter a year 2 pilot in 6th grade so we can see if it makes sense vertically articulate K-6 rather than stop in 5. And so that's going to be part of our overall pilot process. They're just 2 different programs, same company. They just switched because of that middle school shift. So in K-5, we will have representation within all 7 elementary schools. Dr. Gutman and I worked very closely with our 7 building principals as well as our supervisor of elementary special education to identify these teacher teams. We have about 30 teachers who will be piloting. And then all of our 6th grade teachers, which is 10 total, will be continuing to work with their program going into next year. And then we will continue this kind of vetting process throughout the year with many checkpoints, many partnerships with HMH to see how our progress is, get into our schools, work with us as a committee, and then if adopted, we will work to create those pacing and curriculum documents matched to the standards, and we would look to roll out to all staff, K-5 or K-6, in 27-28 to be in compliance with the PDE mandate for Act 135. I'm going to shift now to English 8 and then English 10. These are both curriculum revisions that I'm bringing to you tonight. However, they're not broad sweeping revisions that it's a fully new course. When we started to look at both of these courses in the process this year, we just found some of the little tweaks that we wanted to make led to bigger changes in stage 1 than we had anticipated. And so when you look at the current course and the proposed courses tonight, they're not vastly different, but there are some changes that brought me here tonight to present them to you. So starting with grade 8, one of the major drivers of this revision was the desire to really look at our instructional resources and the text that we're putting in front of students. We currently have a lot of shorter articles or excerpts from larger works that students are engaged with, and not as many opportunities for students to read full-length texts, either independently or guided in class. And so one of the major goals of this course was to add full-length texts into the curriculum for teachers to guide students through that process, complete units with that mentor text being a full-length text, as well as looking at including a variety of genres and ensuring those are aligned to our standards and content. Additionally, in 8th grade, students are transitioning from having 2 courses, a reading course and an English course, to just having 1 course. And so we have a lot of standards then in 8th grade to fit into 1 course. So we really wanted to make sure that we were covering the priority standards fully, as well as matching those to our content and skills that students were engaging with, and preparing them, of course, for the PSSA appropriately. One of the other major revisions for 8th grade came with the common assessments and the alignment. So when updating our resources and realigning our scope and sequence, of course, we had to take a look at our assessments. So new common assessments have been written to match those standards. And finally, we wanted to make sure that there was an equitable course experience. So we have 2 middle schools. We wanted to make sure that across our 8th grade classes, and no matter what teacher you had, you were engaging with the same course curriculum, the same resources, having a similar experience. So we can say all 8th graders in East Penn receive X. So that was a major driver here as well. And of course, we're always reevaluating in any curriculum process our student engagement and differentiated instruction to ensure we're able to meet the needs of all of our learners, much of which you have heard some of that happening here tonight. 10th grade is similar, so this is our Keystone Trigger course. So we looked again at our resources. We wanted to make sure we were putting high quality instructional resources in front of all students, regardless of on-level or honors courses, and really looked at the rigor of what we were offering our students at the high school. We also identified a need to look at our pacing throughout that course. So there were some units that we were spending more time in than others, and really kind of our standards were a little bit misaligned in where we were spending our time. And so in the revision here, we looked at the scope and sequence of that, reordered some things, moved some standards from one unit to another to make sure we were also marrying our reading and writing processes. They weren't so separate and siloed. As well as looked at our research process and how that could be more integrated into what students are engaging in on a daily basis, and not a standalone, okay, today we're researching for 3 weeks and then we're going back to our regular English class. Similarly with 8th grade, this came with a lot of common assessment revisions. Again, we wanted to make sure all students were receiving a similar experience across our 10th grade classrooms, as well as contributing to what does our K-12 articulation look like. And again, ensuring all students have the opportunity to engage not only in class, but with our instructional materials, and providing opportunities for differentiated instruction. Okay, that is the end of all presentations. So if you have any questions, the team is here.
Okay. I'm like, I don't know who was first, so we'll start with Mr. Kelly. I'll go this way.
First off, thank you very much. Looking through the curriculums, I love the setup. I love how it's moving towards more project-based learning. The World Language Pilot, in my opinion, looks like a very interesting course. I would question though, why was this selected as the next step for these students in particular, for this population, as opposed to like the Innovate course or math enrichment or more time on literacy or recess.
So I can state that this was budget neutral to be able to introduce this intro to world language. We're utilizing current world language staff. Some of the other things you mentioned would include additional staffing. So this was a next step. It was intro to world language was something we discussed as part of realignment, and we had an ability to do this at 8th grade with the parameters that we gave.
Thank you. And or what outcomes, what specific like outcomes are you going to look for to see that this pilot is successful?
So obviously, student achievement, student success, and student feedback are big players, as well as teacher feedback. And then we can look at data coming from the students who are in the intro to world language versus year one, and look at that in the long term.
What data?
In student grade, we would look at student success and student grades in addition to feedback from the students about the new Intro to World Language course.
So their grades in the course itself, or their grades on, again, these are students that are in need of reading intervention?
Well, so let me clarify on that.
So these would be students who were previously in a reading intervention in 6th and or maybe 7th grade and would have typically entered into either an on-level intervention or right into a level 1 world language. And so rather than putting them into an on-level intervention, we have developed this course so they could have the exposure to a world language, multiple world languages, to then hopefully have the motivation and understanding of what that language experience is like. So when they go to the high school, they can engage at a level 1 starting in their freshman year. So some of these students would not have had this opportunity to be in a world language in 8th grade previously because this course was not an option. They would have gone into another year of an intervention.
Well, what kind of intervention would they have gone into?
For example, we sometimes run Lexia on-level interventions where they're in small groups. They're rotating around through the intervention driven by a teacher, independent stations, et cetera, reading comprehension based, but at their on-grade level.
Okay. And what is this pilot long-term? Are you looking for this pilot to stay with this population, or are you looking to create this?
So we definitely want to go through the pilot year and evaluate it from both ends, and then certainly bring it back if this is something that we would choose to maintain as it is or expand or come back with data to suggest that, again, perhaps we didn't meet needs, but we anticipate that this will meet the needs of students. We've had and discussed this as part of the realignment in terms of what we termed tweeners. And that's where we're looking at this certain population of students and trying to better meet their needs.
And you guys have specific parameters that you're looking for to identify success?
Well, and we're still screening students, so that's another piece to the puzzle, another piece of data that we can look at.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Dr. Levinson?
Thank you. Actually, all my questions were addressed as part of the detailed presentation, so I appreciate that. So really what I have are some general comments. I guess I'd first like to say that, after reviewing the materials and hearing the presentation, I'd just like to express my support for these changes that are going to be taking place across all the areas that have been discussed tonight. I appreciate hearing the updates. I think it's important that we keep our curriculum current and with changing standards in addition to, taking advantage of enhancements. For instance, the Intro to World Language class, which came out of all the great ideas that came out with the realignment analysis. So I guess, on a personal level, at least for the way the world language program is changing, I actually took Latin when I was in high school, so Dr. Schimmel's smiling when she hears that. I think of how I was trained in Latin, and I really wish I would have experienced that as being, certainly current and also planned for the high school. So again, I'd like to express my support for this hard work.
Yes. I'm blinking out. Christine. No, Melissa.
Thank you.
Ms. Delastio Belli.
All good. Thank you guys for the presentation. I thought it was great. Just a couple of questions and comments here. You talked about when students exit from the ELD program, they're going to be monitored for 2 years. I was just curious what that looks like.
So both Dr. Thatcher and Ann Breidenbach talked about the WIDA proficiency test. So it is basically based on the 4 domains: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. When students enter the program, they are required to take that test yearly until they receive a 6.0, which means in each of the areas, which means they are proficient in English and they're able to access our curriculum without those supports. So after that year, then for 2 years, our ESL specialist will follow those kids through a monitoring process, and there will be meetings with typically our English teachers at the high school or at the middle school, and then the homeroom teacher at the elementary level to say, are they doing okay? Are they able to access your curriculum without any language supports? After that 2-year monitoring process, then we let them fly.
Okay, and if there's anything identified during that process, then they, I'm assuming, get pulled back into the program?
Yes, then they can be
Okay.
pulled back in.
Okay, thank you for that. My second comment is kind of tying into both the world language and the ELD program. I thought it was great to see that culture was part of one of the 4 pillars. I think as the kids leave the district and maybe aren't speaking the language as frequently as they learned in high school, I think having that cultural aspect is really important, especially, you know, as they move into jobs in perhaps international companies and realize that their German boss isn't going to give them any praise or anything like that. So thank you for that. I think that's really important. But then kind of flipping that to the ELD students, do they get any type of cultural awareness as they've, you know, are new residents to the U.S. and any awareness of differentiation that we might have here that they didn't in their home country?
Sure, that's a great question. Part of our job is cultural, like acculturation for the students. So schooling looks very different depending on the country. Some of our kids come from, formalized private schools in their native countries. Some of them come from public schools. Some of them come from, refugee camps. So basically what we do is we spend quite a bit of time at the beginning when they first come is getting to know the student, their background, their family, their educational experiences, and then we work with the core content teachers at the secondary level. At the elementary level, we work with the specialists and with the classroom teachers to make sure that we explain things culturally that might not be the same. We have, several countries of students who, don't make eye contact necessarily with the students. So, we don't tell the student right away, you have to make eye contact. We explain that to the teacher. So then once the student starts to feel comfortable and settle in, they're able to kind of change a little bit, and the teacher changes a little bit. So we kind of meet them in the middle. But we definitely do that. Also, our ELD curriculum talks about cultures from around the world. So in addition to learning the American culture, we also do talk about the different cultures of the students within the classroom.
That's great. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Dr. Whitney.
All right, thank you. And thanks all of you for the really good, thorough presentation and all the hard work on doing these revisions. So I just have a few questions, kind of taking them in reverse order. I couldn't help but notice on the curriculum resources document for reading that Fountas and Pinnell is on there. And I know that that's, I thought that we were moving away from that method, but are we? And is that method actually in use? Is it being used as a sort of countermeasure to the other methods, more science of reading-based methods? Is that a resource that we are using regularly?
That's a great question. So from the K-5 perspective, we are no longer using the Fountas and Pinnell LLI system that you are seeing there. I do know that the middle school continues to use it, but not with the queuing system. So what was very under fire for Fountas and Pinnell was that queuing system. Our middle level tends to use it more for comprehension-based intervention.
Okay. Yeah, I did see it was 6 through 12. So yeah, thank you for clarifying that. So RELA pilot, you've done year one, correct? So what, do you have data from the first year yet? Are you still assessing the results of it?
So K to 5, we have not piloted anything. So in sixth grade this year,
Sixth grade, okay.
we did pilot into literature.
Yeah.
When I came here in August, that pilot was in motion with the understanding that the program worked in the schedule that we have, which is 2 separate courses taught by 2 separate teachers, and the makeup of each class is not the same, right? I'm not going from first period English to second period reading with the same kids. Unfortunately, there was a misunderstanding between how that might work here, and so we had to spend a lot of this year trying to figure out how to make those program resources work in the schedule that we have. Which is why entering a year 2 pilot is actually very advantageous for us and matches with the K to 5 because we need some more time to really put in place what we found works for about the second half of the year for our students and make sure that that can continue or it can't. So it's been an ongoing process all year with the sixth grade teachers who have spent a lot of their time, extra time, beyond extra time, trying to really evaluate this resource. And so we're happy for the second year, and we're happy to be able to partner with K to 5 to see if even that supports us rolling that out better in sixth grade.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
So on the ELD, I'm just curious, and this is really more of a curiosity question, is whether this is even a measurement that you bother and measure, because there are so many individual cases. But in ELD, do you have any data on how long, on average, either on the elementary or secondary level, students take to exit the ELD program?
So the state of Pennsylvania would like 5 to 7 years, depending on if they're coming in. And again, every child is unique, but we do track the children and we do make sure that they are making progress every single year. If they're not, we sit down with the supervisors, we take a look at what their programming is, where they need extra supports, and we put those in place. Again, we also get students from other school districts in Pennsylvania. So sometimes it takes a little bit to do a little bit of background digging to find out how many years they were in Allentown or another district to meet their needs here. But they like 5 to 7 years to show proficiency. We know that in reality, it takes 9 to 10 years to actually learn a language with proficiency if you're studying a world language. So they like 5 to 7 years.
5 to 7 is kind of the standard.
Standard,
So,
yes.
Right. Okay. Great. And then my final point, which cue the eye rolls, I guess, on world languages. And I love the world language curriculum that's set out here. But I have to, world languages include more than Western European languages, right? So have there been any conversations? And I know, again, this is not a budget neutral proposal. Fully recognize that. And I know this is a much broader conversation, but has the district talked about incorporating Mandarin or Hindi or Arabic, even in a sort of introductory manner, which I think would be really effective and unique for our students, particularly given that we have a decent number of Arabic and Mandarin and Gujarati speakers in our district. Anybody want to take that one? Thanks.
Yeah, I think the key there is the budget neutral. We do recognize that there are many wonderful language opportunities available out there, and we would love to be able to offer more, but there are the logistical challenges that come along with that. One step we took toward that in previous years was being able to partner with L-Tri-C to offer the American Sign Language as an offering based on student feedback, since we weren't necessarily able to staff and provide it here in the building. So those are things that we can continue to explore and see if it's possible within the parameters that we have set.
Yeah. I don't recall, are there clubs in any of those languages that exist at the high school currently? Or middle school? Yeah.
No, not that I know of.
Not the,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Ms. Klotz.
Hey, so thank you so much for the hard work you have all put into this presentation. Like Dr. Levinson said, you've answered all of my questions actually. So right now, this is just personal reflections. So this is so exciting for me. I am a lifelong proponent of world languages, beginning for myself in kindergarten with French, actually. So I still hear some of the French folk songs that I learned as a 5-year-old. I hear them almost on a at least monthly basis, and if you would like me to sing them, I will, but not, publicly. I mean, I'm up for it, guys, but anyway, learning multiple languages has helped me tremendously throughout life, especially in college. However, things did get complicated when I would use 3 or 4 different languages in one sentence, because, some of them are similar and they get confusing. So, so I'm very excited to see this as part of the curriculum, and I really hope that this sparks something for our students. Let's see, regarding ELD students. So on average, how many languages do the ELD students speak in addition to learning English? Is it just one? Is it, yes? See.
Typically, it's 1 to 2. Some of our students from India speak 3 or 4 languages. So yeah, some of our European students will speak, come in speaking, French and German. So it's typically 1 to 2.
That is just incredible. I hope that as a country we actually get there. That would be fantastic. So thank you so much. And one brief aside about the reading program. And the changes. So one of my dearest wishes for our students is that they fall in love with reading. And, some of our students have challenging lives. And reading can take us away from those difficult situations and take us to places we may never be able to visit and show us possibilities that were previously unimaginable. So I hope that this curriculum helps spark that interest with them. So thank you. Great job. Really great job.
I have some more questions.
Mr. Kelly?
Can someone speak to what a typical classroom in the middle school and high school looks like currently with the world language, and what this curriculum will be able to adjust for engagement and student enjoyment?
Going to bring up a high school and a middle school.
I was going to ask Kevin, but I didn't want to put you on the spot. I appreciate it.
Sure. I think if you were to take a look at the curriculum or at a typical classroom at both the middle school and the high school now, you would see a lot of what we've already talked about. You would see, in addition to a little bit of vocab memorization and grammar rules, you would see the writing, the reading, the listening, and the speaking that we're talking about. It's just we want there to be more of an emphasis on that. So it's going to be a higher percentage of the time in the classroom is going to be spent on the upper level, not the upper level, that's not the right word, but the higher level skills. Maybe a little bit more in the production of tangible things. I know Kim mentioned in the exploratory program where they would maybe be having these little mini coffee scenarios where they're sitting down and they're having snacks and drinking coffee and doing what they would do actually in the country while they're doing those things, using the words that would typically be used at that time. So I think what you would see is a more real-world application compared to what it is now. Maybe a little bit less of the traditional rote learning. But again, there is a place for rote learning in the world language curriculum. It's just a matter of making it more applicable, making it more fun, making it more involved for the students. I don't know if Kim wants to mention anything for the middle school. Or, of course.
Kevin, will you stay up? I have a follow-up question to that too. So, actually, could I ask Kevin that question first? Kevin, as a high school teacher, you probably see a gap between volitional skills and I don't mean to speak for you. I'm sorry if I am, but how will this bridge that gap between the rigor of that movement from the middle school to the high school for the students?
I'm not 100% sure I understand the question. So the gap between the rigor at the middle school to the rigor at the high school?
Correct.
Oh, okay. I guess I don't know that I see a tremendous gap in the rigor between the middle school and the high school, if I'm being honest. I think there is a little bit of a different approach at the middle school because the middle school student is a different type of student. And just like when we have our middle school math students coming up to high school math, we adjust accordingly. We take our ninth graders that come in and we recognize they're coming at a different level than our 11th graders and our 12th graders. So we do our best to ease them into that. And I don't think there's anything specific designed into this curriculum that changes anything. I think just as professional teachers, we make those adaptations.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Yeah, I just want to add two things. So if you're speaking about level 1 in 8th grade compared to level 1 in 9th grade, it's technically the same curriculum and the common assessments are all the same. They do quarterly assessments. So like Kevin said, it's generally the same, perhaps save the approach based on the child's developmental level. If you were speaking about the intro course though, and the difference there,
The
okay.
levels, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I appreciate it.
Tiff, did you want to add about Latin?
Yeah. So student engagement is a little bit different for classical language in our 4 skills because we don't meet a lot of ancient Romans walking down the road to speak to, as you might imagine. So we use speaking as a tool in class to do that natural spiraling I was talking about in the ELD program. We don't want to leave it out, but we also see with the culture, we're not going to have students going into an ancient Roman culture, but we do have a whole lot of connections between ancient Roman culture and ours and our modern world, not just here in the US, but in other countries as well. So it looks a little bit different for the classical languages, but just as valuable. Thanks.
And I have a couple questions about the list of resources that were attached with the curriculums. Is this a complete list of like approved district resources for these?
Identified courses.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, into the microphone, but yes, for those identified courses, that's a complete list.
And those, how do you determine if they're actually being used in the classrooms?
So I naturally have the longest list. So one of the ways that we ensure that those are being used is they are embedded in our curriculum documents. So we have stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. They're all embedded in our stage 3 documents and are written in there whether they're required teacher choice or student choice. And so if they're required, that means every student in that course is to be engaging with that text. If they are student choice, that's an opportunity that comes up perhaps in like a lit circle environment or an independent reading environment paired with perhaps a text they're doing as a whole class. And then there are also teacher choice options, which would be supplemental. So as you're doing the required resources, if you are seeing your group of students needs a little bit more of this type of text or a little bit more practice in this genre, or they're ready to handle maybe another paired text, teachers can choose to bring those into their courses as well. So they are comprehensive in what we would offer to students as well as what we require of students. And between OTLS supervisors as well as the course level teams and our building principals, we all share those documents and that understanding. And so when we're in classrooms, it's very clear what students are engaging with.
So even the supplemental resources are something that come in front of the supervisors?
Yes. Yep, those would be the choice options, what teacher choice would be supplemental, yes. And if there's something that's not on there, because at the same time that we approve things, like tonight is a moment in time, right? And so we want to be respectful of the opportunity for teachers to bring in current events or other things that may happen, or I have students in front of me and the list of supplemental resources do not meet those needs. There are still opportunities for teachers to identify those things and work with their supervisors to bring those into the classroom. And we have a process for vetting those.
And that holds for social studies and
Social,
math
yep.
and
Yep.
all of them, so.
Yes.
All right. Can the teachers use instructional resources that are not listed on those district resource lists?
They can, for the reasons that I kind of just rolled through, but they would work with their supervisors or course level teams to ensure that they're appropriate and developmentally appropriate.
And I didn't see much for technology resources for lists there. Is that something that would also go through the same
Technology resources.
What do you mean by just like website?
Edpuzzle or
Oh, okay.
Just different. Like we use Reflex.
Oh,
And
Lexia.
Lexia, I'm just wondering if those are things that were left off the list as resources or just.
Yeah, so anytime an app, any kind of application is something that we want to add to, like the iPads, for instance, at the elementary level, there is this vetting process. So typically they will a teacher will reach out to OTL and say, is this something that we can have added to self-serve? And then we will vet it to see if it matches our curriculum documents, what we see as a need, and then we will say yes or no.
So the teachers know that they can pull from that, and it's a pretty easy
Yes.
process. Okay.
Yes. And then Michael will add them for us. And sometimes they reach out to Michael, and then Michael will hand it off to us.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Trish. Thanks.
Yes, Ms. Klotz?
Actually, I have a question for the Latin teacher, please. So,
Of course. What's up?
okay, so also like Dr. Levinson, I also took Latin in high school.
Fantastic.
So, I wrote down my quotes, but anyway, just very quickly, is Latin what is the popularity of Latin compared to the other languages that we're offering?
That's a great question. So we are still turning away, I believe. Yeah, we turn away from Latin 1.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That started, 12 years ago, 14 years ago, something like that, when I was still teaching. And the new Latin teacher is absolutely fantastic, and she kept that going. And she has to teach levels 3 and 4 at the same time so that she can offer a 4. And we have all 4 years, because when I arrived, we only had 3, so we wanted to make sure everybody had all 4 of those years.
Oh, that's fantastic. And do you see our students taking it just out of sheer interest, or are they taking it to prepare them for SAT and
We have so many different reasons that people take Latin. It's something I noticed in my 15 years as the Latin teacher, that we just have anybody and everybody taking it, because I always had it accessible for everybody that came in. And the new teacher, she was my student. She does exactly the same thing. Everybody can learn Latin. Everybody can find something interesting about it. Absolutely.
Thank you for that. And just as an aside, a plug for Latin.
Okay.
Okay, so if students like languages, just learning them in general, Latin is still one of my favorite language classes, and I've taken Spanish, Italian, French, there was another one that I don't remember, and also Latin, but Latin just stands out. It was so much fun and just so useful in everyday usage, so.
Well, those other 3 are Romance languages. You can thank Latin for those.
It's also the reason why I would respond to a question with 3 different languages in one sentence. So, see?
That's great. That's not a bad thing. I actually had Mrs. Stiavelli's daughter, who just graduated yesterday, in Latin 2. She was fantastic. In my crazy Latin 2, 3, 4 class that I ran.
Exciting.
Yeah, and actually, I'll comment on promoting Latin. She loved it. I mean,
went all the way through 4, right?
Yeah, all the way through 4. Actually, I'm proud to say she won the Senior Latin Award. So
fantastic.
She just loved it every
Not
day,
surprised.
and it's been a great experience for her. So thank you.
Thank you.
It's just, Latin it's just wonderful. So.
I think our course request just went up exponentially. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. So I just have a few, and I'll keep them brief. Thank you again for the presentation and all the information. Always glad to hear that, our teams are always evaluating, reevaluating, looking for best practices, and, making sure that our students have what they need. So thank you for that. I kind of had a comment that's similar to Dr. Whitney about when we say world languages, and looking at the information that you shared, that we have, 27 different languages just in our, school system is pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. And I'm thinking of the benefit of utilizing the knowledge that those students come with to benefit other students when you talk about the cultural empathy. There was a student who came in and did her presentation for her AP course here, and talked about, the possibly having a Mandarin class. And I think of that, the benefit, she's talking about the benefit that she might have, but every student could benefit from that. And I know that there are budgetary limitations. But I also think to myself, in a world where, we have the benefit of the internet and AI and so many other opportunities, maybe there's something that hasn't been created yet that can give students a taste of the world, because we know that students benefit from many languages in the business world if they go out to work for a corporation that does, business in China, or if you are in the military and you end up in Afghanistan. There are definitely some benefits to certain languages beyond the Eurocentric languages. And I'm also a fan of Latin as well. I also took Latin, and I know it is a root language that is the basis for many things, but there's a whole world out there. And so when students start to learn about some of the other languages, I don't know how many students would know that there are some really incredible African philosophers if they are never exposed to other languages. So it's just, food for thought, some future, endeavors, because as long as I can remember, most school systems, not just ours, but most school systems focus on the Spanish, the French, the German, the Latin, and it never, seems to filter out beyond that. So, I know we are a forward-thinking bunch and creative as well, so maybe harness some of that, to come up with something in the future, when the budget allows. So, my other question or comment had to do with, let me look at my notes. Oh, there was a comment about recognizing the usage of the full-length text. And I guess my question was, what was the downside of not using the full length text? What was the downside?
So we probably all notice reading stamina is an issue across the board, probably K to 12, which we are rebounding from. COVID did a lot of work on that for us, just stamina in general. And so in addition to that, having students engage with the text from beginning to finish, that isn't a page or 3 pages, that requires arc, right? Following characters over time, understanding how a plot works, how setting affects things, how they analyze parts of text and then a whole text, and really investing in that over time, as well as all of the opportunities to have discussions, debates, different perspectives on when you read something and what you get out of it and how that might be different from the person sitting next to you based on your background knowledge, building background knowledge because we're reading about different things over periods of time. So all of those things are a really great advertisement for bringing in full-length text. We also don't want students to be able to say, I finished 7th grade and I didn't read a book this year, right? And so we're ensuring that within our curriculum, we are providing those very targeted opportunities where students will engage with full-length text, as well as articles, nonfiction texts, poetry, and all of the other things that we do have in place. We just wanted to make sure we had a more robust representation and provide those opportunities.
Right, makes sense. And so that leads to another question. Sure. Do you see any value to the usage of Audible and things like that where students are listening to, is that helpful in a sense when you're talking about the stamina of the student to, digest, understand, follow full text? Can something like Audible be useful in
all
that
the time?
sense? Okay.
For a variety of reasons and a variety of students, and not just students who maybe don't want to or are having trouble accessing, but students who are proficient readers who want to digest more text or try to read something a little bit higher than their level. An audio version of that can support them. It also helps with modeled reading and fluency and all of those best practices that we know students need to continue to engage with.
All right. That's awesome, awesome. Thank you. And then one more, and then I promise that's it. So as far as back to the languages, yeah, do you think there would be a benefit to, like, I know students are always looking for opportunities to use the language. And I know, for example, when I was in college, I started out as a speech, language, and hearing student, and I wanted to be an audiologist. And so they would send us into the community to go to socials for, the hearing impaired. So are there any opportunities for students to go to, for example, some kind of meetup that's geared towards a specific language?
I don't know if necessarily we have that at the high school right now. We do have a Global Citizens Club, which is, again, about sharing culture and language across students, regular education students who are involved with that, who are not our ELD population, but again, experience some amazing things as a regular invitation to that club. I'm actually just taking the feedback on the other languages. What I have recognized over my time, I was part of a different county that had a Mandarin program that it could not sustain for a lack of certified teachers. So what I think would be interesting data is bringing back to you, similar to physics teachers, what languages are actually being certified for in the state of Pennsylvania. So I'll bring that data. It's just another piece of the puzzle, but we can certainly take your feedback to talk about what are some more informal ways that might not include certified teachers in which we can give kids another experience in a different language.
Right. Thank you for that. Appreciate all of the information.
Could we add to that, like what the cost would be for an Innovate program or or even a tech, an additional tech class?
Certainly, we can bring back staffing costs for other things like that.
Okay, and Ms. Ford, for what you're saying, do we have like German exchange programs and as to the experience that language and culture? Does a high school offer exchange programs?
There was a time when we did offer a German exchange program. That was eventually disbanded. I'm not 100% sure for the reasons behind it. And I don't want to misspeak, but my understanding is that we are not allowed to run the program.
Okay.
And because I believe they were going to do it with French as well, and that ended up not going through. But there was a time when we had a very robust German exchange program.
Okay. All right.
30 years ago when I was here, or so, we definitely had French and German exchange programs.
We occasionally have exchange programs. They are foreign exchange students. They are through outside agencies that do a thorough vetting process in terms of those programs. And so we work with them to welcome the students. But again, the process is facilitated by an outside third party.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Other questions? If there are no more questions, thank you again.
Thank you.
That's good.
So moving on, we have several items under item 5 under budget. So if there are no objections from the board, I would like to take a motion for the approval of 5A, the 2026-2027 final budget, 5B, 2026-27 homestead and farmstead resolution, and 5C, 2026-2027 prosperity tax rebate, otherwise known as PTR program.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any comments or questions? All right, Ms. Allen?
Ms. Klotz?
Aye.
Dr. Levinson?
Aye.
Dr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Price?
Aye.
Mrs. Stiavelli?
Aye.
Dr. Whitney?
Aye.
Mr. Jankowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Ms. Ford?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Okay, under personnel, item 6A. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions? All right, Ms. Allen?
Dr. Levinson,
Aye.
Dr. Perez,
Aye.
Ms. Price,
Aye.
Mrs. Stiavelli,
Aye.
Dr. Whitney,
Aye.
Mr. Jankowski,
I'll say aye-ish.
Mr.
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Klotz,
Aye.
Ms. Ford,
Aye.
9 ayes.
All right, thank you, Ms. Allen. And next, we have 7, business operations. If there are no objections from the board, I'd like to take a motion for items A, district bills, B, treasurer's report, and C, budget transfers altogether if possible. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any comments or questions? All right, Ms. Allen?
Dr. Perez,
Aye.
Ms. Price,
Aye.
Mrs. Stiavelli,
Aye.
Dr. Whitney,
Aye.
Mr. Jankowski,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Klotz,
Aye.
Dr. Levinson,
Aye.
Ms. Ford,
Aye.
9 ayes.
All right, thank you. Next, also under business operations, is the approval of item D, resolution exempting certain open space real property from further millage increases imposed on real property. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All right, Ms. Allen?
Ms. Price,
Aye.
Mrs. Stiavelli,
Aye.
Dr. Whitney,
Aye.
Mr. Jankowski,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Klotz,
Aye.
Dr. Levinson,
Aye.
Dr. Perez,
Aye.
Ms. Ford,
Aye.
9 ayes.
All right, thank you. The next item under business operations is the approval of item E, contracts and agreements. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Any comments or questions? All right, Ms. Allen?
Mrs. Stiavelli,
Aye.
Dr. Whitney,
Aye.
Mr. Jankowski,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Klotz,
Aye.
Dr. Levinson,
Aye.
Dr. Perez,
Aye.
Ms. Price,
Aye.
Ms. Ford,
Aye.
9 ayes.
Awesome, thank you. Also, under business operations, if there are no objections from the board, I'd like to take a motion for items F of district facilities and item G, athletics admissions fees. I'd like to take those together if possible.
So moved.
Second.
All right. And any comments or questions?
I have one.
Yes,
For the
Mr. Kelly.
the athletics admissions fees, I'm curious as to if the seasonal pass, or like when you buy the soccer season tickets, if there's any incentive to buy all the home games for the season pass as opposed to individual games. Having purchased this, I myself on the app for basketball, I paid the exact same price to purchase all the games at once as opposed to buying individual tickets. And so if I had missed a game, like there was no incentive for me to actually just buy the season pass. And I'm curious as to why, we'd like people to buy the season pass, even if they're not going to attend one of the games, but it actually worked to where it was purely neutral. And so I'm curious as to how we come up with the prices and what kind of incentive it would be to actually buy the season pass for a fan. I'm also wondering if we team up much with LMYA and the Emmaus Youth Organization and offer some sort of incentive to get those students and increase attendance at the sporting events. So as I look at the athletics admission fees, I don't quite understand why we would offer both a single game ticket and a season pass.
I can follow up with the athletic department in terms of how they came up with the fee schedule. What I can say with certainty is that the fees that are set forth or proposed on the agenda this evening are the same as they were the last year. But certainly I can follow up and find out why the season pass appears to not have a financial incentive for the consumer.
And I mean, as trying to approach this in a way to get more people to come and to buy the season passes, I don't quite understand why we're setting it the way we are.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Ms. Allen?
Dr. Whitney?
Aye.
Mr. Jankowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Nay.
Ms. Klotz?
Aye.
Dr. Levinson?
Aye.
Dr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Price?
Aye.
Mrs. Stiavelli?
Aye.
Ms. Ford?
Aye.
8 ayes, 1 nay.
Okay. Moving on to policy. Under 8, item A, we'll have our third reading and adoption of policies. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any comments or questions? All right. Ms. Allen?
Mr. Jankowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Ms. Klotz?
Aye.
Dr. Levinson?
Aye.
Dr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Price?
Aye.
Mrs. Stiavelli?
Aye.
Dr. Whitney?
Aye.
Ms. Ford?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. Moving on to item 9 under legislative, is a report for
All right.
Mr. Jankowski.
All right, buckle in.
All
Here we
right,
go.
we're ready.
So there number of initiatives right now going through both the State House and the Senate. You know, the policy landscape is really focused on public school funding equity, expanding career and technical education, addressing staffing shortages, as well as general curriculum initiatives. So with, first and foremost, we have our budget. Governor Shapiro in February presented his budget for the 26-27 school year. In April, the House did pass a bill supporting the budget. It is still pending in the Senate. You know, the chambers have until June 30th, untechnically. There's a lot of hope that we will get to a timely budget this year and not be presented with the situation we were in last year, but there's still a lot of horse trading going on, so we will see where we end up. With respect to some pending school legislation, both the House and the Senate have passed different versions of legislation to ban student phone use from the opening bell until the closing bell. The versions of the bills that were passed are now going through compromises in each of the chambers, looking for final votes. So it appears that there will be some form of ban. It would be anticipated to be the 27-28 school year, and it will provide the school districts with the method on how to comply with that ban, but we'll see where that ends up. There's also a new bill currently before the House Education Committee aiming to standardize attendance and truancy guidelines specifically for charter and cyber charter students. With respect to curriculum related mandates, they're really pivoting towards academic transparency and ideological history courses. So right now in the Senate, there's a bill that would mandate that all public schools publish full course syllabi, textbook titles, and corresponding state academic standards for every course offered, and place that information on the websites. So we'll see where that goes. That will provide a lot more work administratively. And again, that's still pending in committee. There's also a Senate bill circulating right now that all public charter and cyber charter schools provide age-appropriate education regarding the dangers of communism. And the curriculum would cover the historical development, origins, and core tenets of communist ideology, economic failures, human rights abuses, and suppression of freedoms associated with communist regimes, as well as direct comparison between communist systems in the United States democratic principles. Again, that's currently in committee. There's also a bill in the committee looking to generalize digital media literacy, and the intent is that to have both of these changes applied within civics and social studies curriculum modules. With the projected shortage of skilled trade workers in Pennsylvania, there's an effort to strengthen career and technical education. There was recent legislation passed in the House to modernize CTE programs, make them more accessible, as well as provide grants that help career and technical centers and school districts update the curricula to keep pace with changing technologies. There's also a bill proposed to streamline teacher certification for CTE, recognizing the industry credentials and easing outdated testing requirements. With respect to school health, counseling, and safety, there's bipartisan legislation pending that would reform school health services and update nurse staffing ratios. It would increase mandated school nurse ratio from 1 to 1,500 to 1 to 750, and ensure that there's a certified nurse in every school building. The proposed legislation modernizes the state funding by updating how school health services are reimbursed. So a form of this bill was voted out of the House Education Committee and is under further consideration on the House floor at this time. There's also legislation seeking to standardize K through 12 school counseling services by requiring every school entity to implement a written comprehensive counseling plan. It mandates that the school counselors dedicate a majority of their time to direct student services rather than being diverted to administrative or substitute duties. This bill passed the House in April and is currently in the Senate Education Committee for consideration. There's a lot of bills right now hanging out there regarding charter schools. There's a Senate bill that would propose a moratorium on new cyber charter schools to address the funding strains on public school districts. There's a House bill that would rein in public school spending on cyber charter schools, creating exemptions that would allow school districts with their own approved online programs to avoid paying tuition to outside cyber charters. Currently, in both chambers, there's debates regarding comprehensive charter school reforms to address the funding discrepancies between public schools and cyber schools, including setting a fixed rate as well as specific rates for students with special needs. And there are also debates regarding fights against proposed private school voucher expansions, and prioritizing state investment directly into traditional public education. So there is a lot going on right now in the state. How much of this actually comes to fruition is to be seen. But I'd say primary focus, aside from the budget, is really on cyber charter funding reform. So again, we'll see where that all gets us.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for all that information. Very relevant and important for us to
You're not
stay
going to
on
ask
top
for any
of.
questions?
Sure.
No.
Do we have questions?
Please don't.
You were so thorough. If no one has any questions, anyone have any questions? Okay. All right. Item 10, other education, under other educational entities, we'll now have Dr. Whitney, who's going to provide a report on the most recent CLIU board meeting. Thank you, Dr. Whitney.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. Thank you, Mr. Jankowski, for making this seem short. Just kidding. CLIU Board of Directors met on May 18th, 2026. I'm going to lead off some good news that I We were informed as a board that a few of our area superintendents within the IU are nominees for national awards for excellence given by the National Association of School Superintendents. And one of them is our very own superintendent, Dr. Campbell, who, yes, is one of 16 national nominees, superintendents who are nominated for the Power Leadership Award in districts larger than 2,500 students. There is another award for districts smaller than 2,500 students, but that's an incredible achievement and an incredible accomplishment. I confess I do not know when these awards are announced. Maybe you do, but clearly, with 16 nominees nationwide, it's an honor to be nominated, and I think a real testament to the great leadership that we have here. So I had to make sure, I have to go somewhere else in order to get that information. So I wanted to make sure and call out Dr. Campbell. Congratulations. All right, so to the CLIU business at hand, a few informational updates. CLIU, we heard about some of the programming that they did to recognize National Mental Health Awareness Month, which was the month of May, in both their staff and communities. Several initiatives from the Behavioral Health Department to promote awareness, encourage open conversations, and recognition of supporting mental health and mental well-being. We also heard a reminder that the Carbon Lehigh Special Needs Children's Foundation Golf Tournament is happening on June 16th, so a week from tomorrow. That is their largest annual fundraiser for the foundation, which, as I've mentioned in here several times, is supports some incredible initiatives in the IU, including their the facility therapy dogs, of which they now have 3 and would love to have more, adaptive bikes program, and direct assistance to families in need. So if anyone wants to go support that, or if you're a golfer, if you want to sign up, I think there's still spaces available. But you can also just go and donate at their website, which is clsncf.org. And so really great event to support, and of course a great cause. We also heard about the Aspiring Leaders Program, which is an initiative from the PA-IU organization, and this is to prepare high-potential staff throughout the various IUs in Pennsylvania for more executive and cabinet-level leadership roles through a system of mentoring, executive observation, professional learning, collaboration, so they get a real hands-on experience with various executive directors and develop their leadership skills and also build a network. And so the CLIU had 3 members of the cohort who graduated. It's a year-long program, and so they've now completed that. And so CLIU is very invested in continuing to have members of this cohort to make sure that the next generation of leadership in the IU is going to be strong, and that there's succession planning in place for inevitable retirements and people who leave the IU. So a couple of fiscal matters. We renewed the insurance coverages for the upcoming fiscal year. Overall premium increase is about 2.9%, which if you follow these things is incredibly low. So that's a really great thing that the IU has. For next year, we also, I mentioned last time, some vehicle purchases. There's continuing ongoing efforts from the Transportation Department to modernize their fleet of vehicles. That's going to include purchase of some vans for the work-based learning program, and also for 2027 international 48-passenger wheelchair accessible buses, the funding for which will come from the school-based access program funds through cooperative purchasing programs. So these, because they support students with special transportation needs, they're an eligible expense under the school-based access program. So there's no direct financial impact to the districts in purchasing these vehicles. And this is just all part of the ongoing fleet renewal and modernization plan. We also, as is typical for the month of May, approved hourly rates for contracted staff throughout the IU, and also several benefits to non-unionized employees, which are designed to align with the CLEA, which is the Educators Association Union in the CLIU. Those things like employee contributions to healthcare plans and prescription copays are all aligned with the CLEA contract for those non-unionized employees. We approved that. And then also some of the Act 93 employees, as well as non-Act 93 positions such as Director and Assistant Director of Human Resources, Director of Business Services, not allowed to be within Act 93, but we approved their increase in pay and benefits commensurate with Act 93. And just for information, the CLIU, the way that they calculate their Act 93 compensation is an average of all the member school districts. So that's essentially how that's figured. And then finally, there was first reading of an artificial intelligence policy, which to my eyes was very well written, very broad-based, and a lot of room for continual updates. It's really tailored just to address the importance of AI, its increasing usage, and of course to address issues around privacy for students and employees, data security, academic integrity, et cetera. So it's a fairly broadly written policy, but the IU does not currently have an AI policy in place, so this is an effort to address that. And that is my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Whitney. Any comments or questions? All right, thank you. Next, we'll hear from one of our LCTI JOC members who will provide us with an LCTI report. Dr. Levinson.
Yes, the LCTI JOC met on May 27th. We were first item of business was during the student representative report, to honor many of the students who participated in CTSO national qualifiers for Skills USA, DECA, FCCLA, and also HOSA. There were several students present that evening to have that recognition, allowed them to speak and tell a little bit about themselves, and then also for the JOC, we were able to wish them luck or belated congratulations on their trip to their respective national competitions, which were happening this month. Dr. Greenewalt, the executive director, and her team then delivered the administrative report. A representative from LVHN presented an overview and update on the LVHN LCTI partnership to provide school-based behavioral health services to students. They reported that there have been 28 students referred by their counselors to this program over the last year. Various assessments have been used to demonstrate improvement in their mental health well-being, and the program has been a success and will again continue for the 26-27 school year. Staff accomplishments were noted, including the earning of a doctorate in education by now Dr. Stephen Ring from Building Trades, and also recognized special education teacher Lori Dreisbach, who was recognized by DeSales University as their Graduate Student Teacher of the Year. Another update on the 24-25 audit was provided, and things have now progressed to the point where finally the 24-25 audit is going to be conducted, and that's at the end of this month on the 29th. Internal systems and processes have been much improved, which will make things easier moving forward. And as a testament to that, the timetable for performing the 25-26 audit is now anticipated to follow the normal progression. We did receive an update on the 26-27 budget approvals from our member districts. All districts, with the exception of Allentown School District, have voted as of the May JOC meeting. The vote tally to date does indicate that the LCTI budget will pass and will allow it to be submitted to Harrisburg on time this month. LCTI extends its sincere gratitude to its member districts for their support. A facility update was provided on a number of key projects, many of which focused on maintaining the integrity of LCTI's various utility systems and on repairing various building areas. As is typical for this time of year, the summer facility work is jam-packed and will be focused on completing as many items as possible so as to take advantage of having no students in the building. Carrie Ann Galinas from LVEDC visited LCTI to discuss the potential of a biotechnology program in LCTI. The interest is obviously heightened due to the pending arrival of Eli Lilly, and an approval process is required when considering a new program, and that work is going to progress. The senior recognition ceremony for graduating LCTI students was discussed and was held on Thursday, May 28th at the PPL Center, and it was a rousing success. Two members of the admin team are leaving LCTI in June to pursue new career opportunities. HR manager Stacy Day is moving on to an HR position in another district, while the director of facilities, Derek Rogers, is going to now pursue a different professional opportunity. Both are recognized for their service and given best wishes from the LCTI team. The hiring process for these two key positions will proceed as soon as possible, and I do commend the rest of the administrative team for stepping up and stepping in to permit coverage while the transition occurs. After concluding the administrative report, matters of regular business were conducted, with the next meeting scheduled for June 24th of this month, and that concludes my report.
All right, thank you so much. Any questions? All right, thank you. Okay, item 11 under announcements. This evening, we had an executive session to discuss items of litigation, confidential matters, and personnel, and collective bargaining issues. And our next regular board meeting is on Monday, June 22nd, 2026 at 7:30 p.m. right here. And if there is nothing else, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 See you later.